Okay, so we try to grow this ecologically complex forest, and in order to determine if we're able to do that, we've decided to monitor a variety of things, a variety of species, and birds is one of them. We walk a transect through the forest, and along that transect we have 12 different stops, and at each stop we are there for 3 minutes. We record every single bird that they hear. And the goal of it is really to get a sense of how our management impacts the bird species. So we experimented with a variety of silvicultural practices, and we're interested to learn that when we made a fairly large opening and left a number of large trees, that we ended out with an increased number of bird species and an increased number of individual birds.
One red-breasted sapsucker and one willow flycatcher.
Yeah.
The willow flycatcher is pretty exciting.
That's very exciting.
Okay, so this is a very crude analysis of some of the monitoring we did in this forest. The first column here is deep forests, so these are forests that are 70 years old and we haven't done anything with. The variable retention are the one we were looking at, where you've got some large trees and then a fairly large opening, but you've left quite a few large trees. It's interesting in that the total species, not probably significant, but slightly more in the variable retention than in the deep forest. But the most important or interesting one, I think, is this average number of individuals per count. So there are many more birds in the variable retention with these two than there are in the deep forest, where we only had about 9 compared to 12.5 and 15 in the variable retention. And we're quite happily surprised that by leaving the large trees, we ended out by also providing great habitat for birds. I love it. I was just down at the creek and heard a pileated woodpecker, and there's a dipper in the creek. And another woodpecker, which I couldn't tell if it was a downy or a hairy woodpecker. Anyway, I think it's great.